The saloon door creaked like a dying tree as the wind pushed it open, scattering dust across the warped floorboards. Inside, it was dim lit by a single flickering lantern, and the amber glow of whiskey bottles stacked behind the bar. No piano. Music, no laughter. Just spoons clinking and murmurs low enough to drown in a shot glass. He sat alone in the corner booth. Always did. Cole Bridger. A man with shoulders like fence posts and a stare that could hold off a stampede. His coat was worn leather, stained with the ghosts of cattle and gunpowder. His hat shadowed half his face, and what you could see was carved with age, dust, and something that might have once been sorrow, though he'd never admit it. He didn't come for company. He came for silence, for routine, for the kind of peace you buy when you stop hoping for more. The waitress brought his usual. Steak, potatoes, a slice of bread. He didn't smile, didn't nod, just picked up the fork and started eating. The chair across from him stayed empty, like it had for 3 years. Until that night. She came in barefoot, hair tangled, face smudged with dirt, wrapped in a ragged shawl that used to be blue, maybe sky blue. Now it was more ash than sky. She was young 17, maybe 18, but her eyes were older than anyone else in that saloon. Hollow and alert, like a deer too tired to run anymore. She limped in and stood just inside the doorway, blinking at the sudden warmth. The bartender eyed her, paused, then turned back to his glass. People returned to their drinks, pretending they hadn't seen the girl, who looked like she crawled out of a grave. She walked between tables, slow and shaking, like her legs were counting down to collapse. She didn't beg, didn't cry. She just stopped at Cole's table, voice like dry wind scraping a fence post. "May I have your leftovers?" "Sir?" The fork paused in his hand. Her eyes met his. And for one split second, his whole world tilted, because he had seen that look before. Not in a stranger. In his daughter. 3 years ago, in the mirror of her bedroom window, just 2 days before the fever took her. He didn't answer. Just stared. The saloon hushed. Someone coughed. A chair scraped. Still, the girl didn't lower her eyes, didn't flinch. She didn't look sorry for asking. She looked desperate. Hollowed out like someone who'd already been told no 100 times and expected one more. Cole pushed the plate forward, slow. "Take it." She reached out with trembling hands, fingertips black beneath cracked nails. She didn't sit, just scooped up the bread, folded it in half, and bit in like it was the first real food in days. Cole leaned back, watched. She swayed. Her knees buckled. He shot forward too late. She collapsed, eyes rolling back, body limp. Plate shattered as she fell. His hand caught her just before her head hit the wood. They didn't speak for the rest of that night. He carried her out of the saloon like she weighed nothing, the way you'd carry a sack of feed if it had started. To leak, nobody stopped him. Nobody asked. Back at his cabin, he laid her on the cot his daughter once slept in. He sat by the fire and watched her breathe. Her ribs pushed through her skin. Her feet were blistered, her knuckles swollen. He guessed she'd walked for days. Maybe. Weeks. She whispered in her sleep. Names. Begging. Crying. He didn't sleep that night. Just sipped coffee gone cold and watched the girl tremble through dreams. No one should have to remember by morning. She hadn't moved. Cole made eggs and beans, heavy on salt. The cabin smelled like memory, like mornings that used to mean something. When she finally opened her eyes, they flickered across the ceiling beams, then to the fire, then to him. She sat up too fast, wobbled. Where am I?" "West of town," he said. "My place. I didn't steal nothing. I know. I just fainted, didn't mean to. You asked for food. That's all." She stared at him, breathing hard like a cornered thing. Then, "Why'd you help me?" He didn't answer right away. Just leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "Because you looked like someone I knew." She didn't eat much. Just a few forkfuls. "I can go," she mumbled, gripping the edge of the cot. "You don't have to keep me here. I didn't say I would. I'll work for it, I swear. I ain't lazy. I never said you were." Silence. Then her voice, small, stiff. "Can I sweep?" He blinked. "You want to sweep?" She nodded. "I'm good at cleaning. Better than beggin'." "I hate beggin'." He stood. Walked to the cabinet. Pulled out a broom. "If it makes you feel better," he said, "go ahead." She swept. Not fast, but careful. Like each corner she cleared was proof she deserved to stay. When she found an old cracked teacup, she turned it over gently and placed it back on the shelf without a word. He watched from the porch, arms crossed. Sunlight filtered through the window. She looked almost golden in the dustlight. Not pretty, no. Too thin, too tired. But alive. There was something in the way she moved, in the quiet rhythm of her work, that settled the air. Then she began to hum, a tune low and quiet, half-formed. Cole's blood froze. That song. His daughter used to hum it while brushing her hair. He turned his head away. Jaw clenched. Night fell quiet. She curled up on the cot again, back to the fire. "Got a name?" he asked from the rocking chair. She didn't move for a long moment. Then, "Rosie." "Rosie what?" "No one said it." "In a while." He nodded. Let the silence swallow the rest. Before he blew out the lamp, she spoke again, barely above a whisper. "Thank you. For the food." "And the cot." He looked at her dot, and for the first time in 3 years, he meant what he said. "You're welcome." Outside, the prairie wind shifted. Coyotes yipped in the dark. Inside, the fire popped. Cole closed his eyes and saw 2 faces, one gone. One still here, both wearing the same look. Half hope, half hunger. And that's how the miracle started, on a cold plate in a colder town. The rain came hard that morning, slanting sideways. The kind of storm that rolled off the plains without warning, smelling of metal and punishment. Cole stood on the porch, one hand gripping the post, the other holding a chipped mug of black coffee. The sky churned gray and silver, the wind moaning like a woman in mourning. Inside, Rosie swept. He could hear the bristles scrape the wood floor in quiet, methodical strokes. She hadn't said much since the night before, but she'd cleaned every corner of the little cabin like it was a sacred duty. She hadn't asked for food again, hadn't asked for anything. Cole took a long sip, eyes locked on the horizon. Something felt off in the air. Not just the weather, the kind of silence before a storm breaks bones instead of fences. "Mr. Bridger?" she said softly from behind him. He didn't turn. "Just Cole." There was a pause. "Cole," she corrected herself. "I finished sweeping. Can I wash the dishes next?" He turned then. She stood in the doorway barefoot, holding the broom like a staff. Her clothes were still soaked from the night she collapsed, but she'd tied the ends of the shawl tighter around her waist. There was no smile on her face, but a calmness, like being useful was the closest thing to peace she knew. "You don't have to do all that," he said. "I know." He nodded once. "To share in the basin. Water's already warm." She moved past him, quiet as a shadow, and started scrubbing. Her sleeves rolled up to her elbows, revealing thin arms lined with bruises in shades of old yellow and healing. Purple. Cole said nothing, but his hand tightened on the mug until the crack near the rim deepened. Later, he saddled the horse and rode into town for supplies. When he returned, she was outside, stacking wood under the porch's overhang to keep it dry. "Where'd you get that?" he asked, dismounting. "Chopped it." "You?" She nodded. brushing sawdust from her forehead. You had an accent. No firewood. Figured you'd need both. He stared at her a long moment. You ever sit down? She grinned faintly, just a twitch at the corner of her lips. Can't afford to. He didn't laugh, but something near it twitched behind his eyes. That evening, he cooked stew thick and hearty, the way he used to make it when his wife was alive. Rosie helped slice carrots, humming that same soft tune, his daughter's tune. She didn't seem to realize it, but it coiled in his chest every time she did. Where'd you learn that song? He asked suddenly. She blinked, knife pausing. I dunno. Heard it somewhere, I guess. In a dream, maybe? He didn't push. They ate in silence, except for spoons scraping bowls and the occasional thunder rumble shaking the walls. After dinner, she cleaned everything again. She wiped down shelves, swept the corners a second time, and folded the threadbare blanket over the cot. You clean like someone expects to whip you if you don't, he muttered, watching her. She froze. Didn't look at him. Didn't answer. Her fingers clutched the edge of the blanket. Cole stood up slowly, hands at his sides. I didn't mean... I know, she said quickly, but her voice had changed. Tight, fragile, a dam threatening to break. Then she whispered, almost too quiet to hear. He did, the man I ran from. Cole's jaw clenched. Who? She turned toward the fireplace, staring into the low flame like it could burn the memory out of her mind. His name's Wade Colburn. Called himself my husband. Took me from my uncle's farm after my folks died. Said I owed him for feeding me. Said he bought me fair. Cole took a slow step forward. You escaped? She nodded. 2 weeks ago. He's looking for me. She didn't cry. Just stood there, staring into the fire like it might snap back. He finds me. He'll kill me, or worse. Cole crossed the room and opened an old wooden chest in the corner. From it, he pulled a small carved pendant on a leather cord, split and frayed at the end. He held it up. You dropped this in your dress when you passed. Out. She flinched when she saw it. Her hand went to her collarbone. He noticed then there was a faint scar there. Burned into her flesh, the same shape as the pendant. He used it to mark you, Cole said. She nodded. Cole walked to the hearth, opened the stove door, and tossed the pendant into the flames. It hissed like a snake before vanishing into ash. Rosie watched with wide eyes. Why'd you do that? Because you ain't his, Cole said, voice low. Not anymore. That night, the storm reached. Full fury. Rain hammered the roof like hoofbeats, and lightning flashed so bright the cabin lit up like a cathedral. Cole sat in the chair with his Winchester across his lap. He didn't expect Rosie to sleep, but she surprised him. She curled up on the cot, eyes red but dry, blanket pulled to her chin. The fire crackled low. Then, around midnight, came the knock. Not on the door. On the window. 3 slow taps. Cole stood instantly. He stepped to the window. Rifle raised. Outside, nothing moved. But when the lightning flashed again, he saw it just for a second. A figure, cloaked and wide-shouldered, sitting on a horse under the big tree near the fence. Watching the house. Watching them. He didn't sleep the rest of the night, and neither did Rosie. But neither of them spoke. The silence between them wasn't fear. It was a truce. A vow. By morning, the storm had passed. The sky was washed blue, and the prairie grass shimmered with raindrops like broken glass. Rosie stood barefoot in the yard, staring at the muddy road where hoofprints led back toward town. Cole stepped beside her. She didn't look at him. Was that him? She asked. Could have been. Will he come back? Most men like that don't like being told no. She wrapped her arms around herself, shivering despite the sun. Cole glanced at her. I know someone in town. Sheriff Tillman. He's slow but honest. We could go file a report. She shook her head. He owns Tillman. Pays him. I saw them share drinks. That stopped Cole cold. She turned to him, voice steady now. If I stay here, I'll bring trouble. He nodded. Maybe. But if I leave, I'll die. He didn't speak for a long time. Then finally, then we make sure he doesn't find you. The day passed in tense quiet. Cole began cleaning the barn, checking traps, clearing the back trail for signs of trespass. Rosie worked in the kitchen, humming again. That night, she made dinner. It wasn't fancy, just eggs and bread, but she served it carefully, like it mattered. Cole sat down, unsure how to respond. Thank you, he said. She gave him a quiet smile. We're even now. He looked at her. And suddenly the cabin didn't feel so cold anymore. As they finished eating, thunder rolled far in the distance again. This time, not from the sky. Gunfire. 3 shots, echoing from somewhere east. Rosie flinched. Cole stood slowly, rifle in hand, jaw set like iron. He's close, she whispered. Cole looked at her, his voice calm but sharp. Then it's time we remind him what happens when you corner a man who's got nothing left to lose. The prairie went quiet first. Even the cicadas stopped humming. The wind dropped flat, and the sky turned the color of old bruises. Cole Bridger stood behind the barn, rifle propped across the fence rail, watching the trail that led through the dry cottonwoods. He'd set up tripwires, loosened the gate hinge, and sharpened the spade just in case. A man could feel it in his bones the moment something wicked drew near, and he felt it now. Rosie stayed in the house, crouched near the back window with Cole's revolver clutched in both hands. She hadn't argued when he gave it to her, just took it, nodded once, and waited. Cole respected that. She wasn't a flower anymore. She was a storm waiting for a name. Hoofbeats echoed, faint through the trees. Slow, measured, like someone wanted to be heard before seeing. Then he appeared, riding, tall on a black stallion, wide-shouldered, with a coat so long it dragged dust from the road. Wade Colburn. He rode like a man who thought the world owed him. Straight-backed, lazy in the saddle, smile full of malice. 3 others flanked him less. Polished, more vicious. Teeth yellow. Eyes empty. Cole stepped out from the barn. The man reined in and grinned like he recognized a familiar dog. Well now, Wade drawled. I was just about to knock again. Cole didn't move. She's not here. Wade dismounted. She is. I followed her prints. And yours. She's in that cabin. You got 10 seconds to bring her out. Cole raised the rifle an inch. I don't think you understand. She's not yours. Wade's smile tightened. I bought her. Fair and legal. Even had her marked. I burned that mark. Silence. Then Wade's voice turned ice. Then I'll burn you. The first man reached for his holster. Cole fired first. The blast shattered the quiet, and the man dropped like a rag stuffed with blood. Gunfire erupted. 2 shots slammed into the barn wall beside Cole. He rolled behind the trough, reloaded fast, and fired again. Second man screamed, went down clutching his knee. The third ran behind the water barrel, firing wild. Inside the house, Rosie crouched low, breathing hard. She heard every shot, every scream. She wanted to close her eyes, but she didn't. Single quotes T. Wade moved fast, too fast for a man his size. He kicked the barn door open, sending dust and tools flying. Cole fired, but Wade ducked behind a beam, firing back with 2 slick pistols. The shots were deadly accurate. One grazed Cole's shoulder, another hit the spade and shattered it. Cole ducked low, bleeding but steady. You know she's not property, he growled. You know what you are. Wade laughed darkly. I'm a man who knows what he owns. You don't own her. You never did. She owes me, Wade roared. I fed her, kept her warm. She ran away. Cole stepped out suddenly, close range. Shot. Boom. Wade flew backward, hit the wall hard. Breath knocked out. Cole limped closer, rifle lowered, aiming steady. Wade stared up, chest heaving. You ain't the law, he spat. No, Cole said. I'm worse. The third outlaw tried to run. Cole shot once, and the man dropped. Leg twitching. Wade reached for his revolver. Too slow. Cole kicked it away and pressed the rifle barrel to his chest. Say it, Cole said. Say what? That. She ain't yours. Wade sneered. Cole raised the rifle higher. I said say it. Wade's mouth twisted. Then a quiet voice called from the cabin door. Cole. Rosie. She stood barefoot in the doorway, revolver in hand, eyes calm. Don't. Shoot him, she said. Cole blinked. You sure? She nodded. You shoot him. He becomes a martyr. A reason for his kind to keep owning and burning and hunting. She walked forward slowly, passing through the smoke and dust like a spirit. He has to say it, she said, out loud, or it doesn't break. Cole stepped back. Wade looked between them, lips curled. You think this changes anything? You think some girl can? She aimed the revolver at his face, not shaking, not blinking. Say it, she said, or I swear I'll pull the trigger, and I won't miss. Wade's smirk twitched. His throat moved. She ain't mine. Louder. She's not mine. Rosie lowered the gun. Right, she said. Now crawl back into the dirt you came from. Wade rose to his knees, spat blood. Then, wordlessly, he limped to his horse and rode off, dragging one outlaw with him. The other two stayed on the ground, groaning and useless. Cole lowered the rifle. Rosie exhaled slowly, the weight of years falling off her shoulders. Then her knees buckled, and Cole caught her. Again. They sat on the porch in silence that night. The fire in the cabin was low. The prairie wind warmed. Rosie held a mug of tea in both hands, staring at the stars like they finally belonged to her. I thought I was going to kill him, she whispered. You didn't, Cole said. I wanted to. He nodded. I wanted to run, but I didn't. I stayed. You did. She looked at him. I didn't just run from him, she said. I ran from myself. I didn't think I could fight. Thought I was just a thing people used. But you, she stopped, swallowed hard. You helped me remember I'm more than what he said. Cole didn't answer, just looked at her, long and quiet. Then he stood, walked to the edge of the porch, and lit a match. He pulled something from his pocket. A ribbon, faded pink. His daughter's. He stared at it for a moment, then held it to the flame. It caught, quickly burned like memory. Rosie stood beside him, watching it float away into the dark. What was her name? She asked softly. Annie. I'll plant something for her, Rosie said. By the grave. Cole's eyes flickered. She liked sunflowers. Rosie smiled. Then sunflowers it is. The night deepened. Somewhere far off, thunder rumbled again, but it sounded different now. Distant. Like a shadow that had lost its way. The dawn came red. Not soft, not gentle, but angry, blazing through the clouds like blood spilled across heaven. Cole Bridger woke before it rose, already dressed, already moving. His shoulder throbbed where Wade's bullet had grazed him. But the pain was distant now. He had something to finish. Rosie was outside, crouched near the little cross beneath the cottonwood tree. She was planting sunflower seeds in the cool dirt with her bare hands. Her hair was tied back with a string, her hands calloused now. She didn't look up when he approached. I said I'd plant them, she whispered, and I don't break promises. Cole stood beside her, silent. The earth between them said everything. Inside, breakfast was quiet. She cooked again cornbread and eggs. Steady hands, soft hum under her breath. No fear in her eyes. No tremble in her voice. But outside, the prairie held its breath. Because Wade Colburn wasn't done up, and monsters don't die easy. Mid-morning brought the dust. A long trail of it rising behind a wagon team, and a man riding. Ahead, coat whipping like fire behind him, Rosie saw him first from the porch. They're coming. Cole didn't ask who he already knew. Wade had gone into town. Had bought men, mean ones. The kind who didn't ask questions, only paid in violence. Hired guns, 5 riders, 1 wagon. And Wade, leading them like a snake with fangs bared. Cole checked his Winchester. Loaded every round slow, steady. The way a man does when he knows the weight of every bullet. He handed Rosie a small bundle wrapped in cloth. She opened it. 3 bullets. A smaller revolver. And a folded note. If I don't make it, you will. She snapped. He held her gaze. If I don't, he repeated. There's a trail behind the East Ridge. You take it and don't look back. You ride until the wind changes, and don't stop until you find a town that's never heard his name. She stared at him, jaw trembling. Then she nodded. Only if you make me. They came around noon. Sun high. Air thick. Not a sound in the grass. Wade rode up to the gate like he owned the world. The others fanned out behind him, faces blank, fingers twitching over pistols. Last chance, Bridger, he called. Hand her over, and I'll let you die with your spine intact. Cole stepped forward, rifle across his chest, no fear in his voice. You couldn't even kill a girl. Wade's eyes darkened. You want a war? Cole nodded once. It already started. The first shot came from the barn. Rosie, hidden in the loft, fired downward. It clipped a rider in the arm. He screamed, fell, and never got up again. Others reacted fast, but not faster than Cole. He dropped to one knee, fired twice. 2 men fell. Gunfire thundered like judgment, shaking the earth. The wagon rolled forward. 1 man jumped off and tossed a flaming bottle toward the house. Cole cursed, ran to the trough, grabbed the soaked burlap, and slapped it onto the flames, licking the porch. Inside. Smoke began to crawl along the ceiling. Rosie burst from the barn, firing. A bullet grazed her leg, but she didn't stop. She limped behind the chicken coop, reloading. Wade spotted her. He dismounted, pistol in both hands, moving like a wolf with blood in his teeth. Rosie, he yelled. I gave you a chance. I gave you a life. She turned slowly, face streaked. With soot and dirt, you gave me chains. He fired. She dove. The shot missed by inches. Cole screamed her name, then charged from behind the shed, slamming into Wade like a freight train. They hit the ground hard, fists flying, teeth bared, weapons. Dropped. Wade's elbow cracked against Cole's jaw. Cole drove his knee into Wade's ribs. The world narrowed into grunts, blood, and dirt. Wade reached for his knife. Cole grabbed his wrist, but Wade was younger, stronger. The blade sank into Cole's side. Rosie screamed. She grabbed the rifle. Ran. Every step was fire in her leg, but she didn't stop. She reached them just as Wade pulled the knife free. Raising it again. Rosie aimed. Her hands shook. Wade looked up, grinning. You won't do it, he said. You ain't got it in you. She squeezed the trigger. The shot echoed like thunder. Wade dropped to his knees, stared at her, blinking. Then he fell forward. Dead. Rosie dropped the rifle, staggered to Cole. Blood soaked his shirt. No, stay. With me, she begged, pressing her hands against the wound. You're not allowed to die. You hear me? He coughed, smiled faintly. You missed the first shot. Shut up. Second one was better. Shut up. He winced, then took her hand. You're not the girl who begged for leftovers anymore. She shook her head, crying now. And you're not the man who wanted to be left alone. He closed his eyes. Guess we saved each other? Sheriff Tillman came by late that evening. Too late to do anything but write reports and scratch his head. The cabin was scorched, but still standing. The outlaws were dead. Rosie sat beside Cole's bed, holding a bloody bandage. He wasn't dead. Not yet. Not if she had anything to say about it. 3 weeks passed. The sunflowers bloomed. Beside Annie's grave, Rosie watered them every morning. Cole sat nearby in a rocking chair, pale but healing. They spoke little. They didn't need to. One morning, Rosie stepped onto the porch holding a folded sheet of paper. A letter. She handed it to Cole. He opened it slowly, reading the words. It was addressed to the governor. Request for land. Grant. One for each of them. They were building a new house. Together. That night. They sat under the stars. No danger. No fear. Just wind in the grass and the sound of cicadas finally returning. Rosie looked up. Think we were meant to find each other? Cole didn't answer for a while. Then he reached out and held her hand. I think you are my miracle.